Hey guys, it's Mysopods and More with me. I just shot a video about owning pets. I want to take a moment to say I'm not sorry, but I'm apologizing because my voice is hoarse, I mentioned I'm sick, and I'm a little bit ornery. So I'm generally not that ornery in there, and I don't think you'll even notice it. It's just something where I know, again, my mood is out of whack with being sick, my sarcoid, and all of this. So I hope everything's going well with you. You're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. And let's hop into this video. Hey guys, it's Mysopods and More with me. I hope everything's going well with you and you're taking care of yourselves and the ones that you love. This is going to be somewhat controversial and I don't care. It needs to be said, and I always have a philosophy that just because something is easy, that doesn't mean you should do it, and just because something is difficult doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. I want to talk about the pet trade and America. I can't speak for any other place in the country. Hold up. So I'm not feeling well and I'm eating some broccoli and cheese soup. And in editing, I just realized that I said the United States or any other place in the country as if, you know, the country is the world. So my eyes are tearing up because, again, I just literally almost choked when I heard how stupid I sounded. So just had to cut it and let you guys know about that. I can't speak for any other place in the country because I don't live there. But I want to talk specifically about the United States. I'm big on freedom. Freedom is amazing. It's the most wonderful concept. Just because you're free to do something, however, does not mean that you should do it. There's been a lot of talk with what happened in Florida, the massacre, they call it the May Massacre, I believe. And I have a very, again, controversial view. This is going to sound bad. I'm going to say it, but open it up a little bit more. I don't care. And I don't mean it in the fact that I don't care. That's why it's very convoluted. Police do horrible things and human beings do horrible things to each other every day. In the time that those snakes were killed, a person had done something worse to another human being. I'm in a very peculiar state where I'm a fan of law enforcement, but I understand the realities of law enforcement. Law enforcement is not good. It's not, they're not good. They're not inherently good any more than Marines are good. Specifically, I will say this. I know a Marine. I love Marines. I think I'm a great Marine. I love the Marine culture, the Marine Corps world. Some of the best people I know in the world are Marines. I also know that the Marine downstairs in the SRB section one day stabbed a guy to death at a party randomly at a weekend over a girl he never met before that night. So Marines are not the greatest. Police are not the greatest. Teachers are not the greatest, and you know what? Pet owners, we're not the greatest either. You have people in this hobby who will steal, swindle, lie, deceive you. I'm just on Facebook reading about a shady trade. We are a problem, us as Americans. We have the freedom to do this, and it doesn't mean that we should. We'll buy a snake or a reptile because it's really cool. We'll buy a dog because it was on Game of Thrones. We'll buy all these things and then discard them because we don't care about them. And that's a massive problem in this industry. Invasive species, I don't like them, but I don't blame them. It's not like invasive species are a bad thing in terms of good or evil. They're negative they can be negative on an environment or ecosphere or whatever, but they're not evil. We, generally speaking, there have been cases where it's not, but generally speaking, we introduce those invasive species into these places. You don't generally have that. So again, I try to challenge people. Stop buying things. Enjoy people's content. Go to zoos. Go to the reptarium. Go out and hold these reptiles and see how fascinating they are. And then have an anaconda poop 20 feet away to the point where you almost throw up. And then you see all these things that go into the container. And oh my God, these lights are expensive. I have to get up and maintain and misting systems and temperatures. That's really hard. Yeah, don't do that. I don't remember the name, but there was a channel that did a video. I will try my hardest to find it and link it. The title was something akin to, do dwarf caimans make great pets? No. And again, can they be wonderful pets? Absolutely. But they did the hard thing of telling people these are not something like, again, an isopod you can keep in here. And even these are not something you just keep and throw away. It breaks my heart seeing people not lose isopods to mistakes, but to when I ask, oh, what happened? Oh, I left them for 2 weeks. I left them for, I don't understand what, don't get them. Humans have bandwidth. Okay, let's look at the world like this. You have your loved ones, your job, your home, your vehicle, all of your responsibilities. And you can only fit this much of the world. You can only see through here. Now when you start adding isopods, monitor lizards, snakes, eggs, cyclings, brumaceans, Wally, that I messed up about, all of these things, this is your bandwidth. You can focus on this much. So now that you have to start focusing on what's outside of it, you're going to start to neglect your family, your job. You're going to neglect your personal health. You're going to go for less walks. You're going to stay inside more, doing things instead of going outside. Just whatever the trade-off is. Life is always a trade-off. When you start bringing those pets into your life, if you have kids, if you have a job, if you're going to school, you're going to sacrifice your family, your kids, your school, your job, whatever, to give that snake or those isopods more of your time. Or you're not going to give them the time that they deserve. So don't devote that time to them knowing you don't have the time to give. Take a step back and think, can I do this? Should I do this? Is what I'm going to do healthy for that pet? Not is it fun, not is it cool, can I show? Think about how many likes I'm going to get. Think about the clicks. What are you going to do for that animal? I had a big incident with Stripe here and it almost broke my heart. And again, I learned from it. But some people, it's a novelty. It's not a thing they do for joy of the animal. It's to exploit. Now, I want to be very specific because I'm autistic and I break down words. Exploitation is not bad. If I'm exploiting you for your time right now, you may be exploiting me for knowledge or entertainment value. Exploitation is positive and negative. If I'm exploiting you positively, it's maybe for your company. I enjoy your company and maybe you enjoy my company too. Negatively would be saying, I want to steal your money. I want you in my life because I can get a thing from you and extract it from you at no cost to myself and maybe at a cost to yourself and hide it. There's that aspect of exploitation. So when we use nature, we're exploiting nature. Now it can be good if we're harvesting nature to build homes. It's negative if we're doing it to do things we can't sustain. All of that should come into play. Just because you can do it, don't. Stop and think. Let's look at something realistically. If you really, really, really want that monitor lizard or those isopods or a snake or a rescue African fat-tailed gecko, do you need it right now? Why can't you get it next week? Why can't you get it next month and look into it, research it? Go online and talk to people. What negative experiences have you had with the monitor? Oh, it tore up your thing. It tears through enclosures. It escapes. It bites me. It leaves massive claw marks on me. You may not want to do it after you talk to someone about that. Someone trying to sell you something is not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you how intelligent the monitor lizards are. They're great. Watching them hunt is amazing. Just watching taking them out into an area and watching them interact with the environment. It's fascinating. But they also poop a lot, tear stuff up. They may get sick. Their food, all of these things are things you should look into. Ask for the negative. What's the worst experience you've had with that thing? What's the worst experience that could happen to me? My situation with Stripe was, again, a little different because the way I got her was a guy came up and said, if you can't take this, I'm probably going to just take it to a PetSmart or someone to see if they'll take it. I don't trust them. So I had an opportunity or was presented with that where I didn't. Now, I'd raised leopard geckos, knew about it, and still immediately took a deep dive into African fat tails. But my point is, the situations are different. If you're not in a situation where there's that gun to your head or that gun to that fat tail's head, maybe take a moment and don't do it. Take some time and set up. Check what to do. What's the again, if you get a small lizard, well, how big is it going to get? Am I going to get that little tank now and have to get a 40-gallon later? Can I afford that? And if you can't afford it now, again, you may have the opportunity to work. I'm a disabled veteran, I can't. But you may say, okay, I'll put in more hours, and in 6 months, while this thing takes a year to get to that age, in 6 months I'll get that enclosure, move into it. All of these things are things that you should think about when you take another life and put it in your hands. You should want to make that, I can't say perfect, because there's no perfect life. You should, within your box, I talk a lot about boxes and all that, within your life, give it the best optimal life you can. And if you cannot, don't. Let someone else who will take that thing and care for it do that. You wouldn't want that for yourself. You wouldn't want someone who, again, your job as that pet's owner is to take care of it. Someone was taking care of you, you don't want them taking care of you, but actually when they have time, I'm really going to focus on you, but after work, and then I got my kids, then I got to make sure I go to school, I got homework or that. Then after all that, if I have time, I'll spend it on you. And it won't be a lot, but is that fair to you? Is that what you want or expect? I would hope not. And that should not be what you expect for your pets. We introduce so many of these problems with invasive species, with costs, with stealing and swindling. And that part, sadly, the worst part of the pet trade today, in my opinion, is human nature. I could be wrong in that. But please take time and talk to others. Have these hard conversations with people. You don't, if you see someone mistreating an animal, you don't have to. I see this so often. When you attack someone mistreating an animal, they may care for that animal, but not know. You're in a position where when you attack me, for example, I'm not going to be receptive to what you say. So if you have saying, Steve-O, your animal will die if you don't do this, because you're so stupid and an idiot, and only stupid idiots treat their animal like that, I'm not listening to the guy who calls me a stupid idiot. I may even now do what's going to kill my pet. Because you couldn't just say, hey, Steve-O, you know, I noticed that you did that with your fat tail. You have them you have your full-grown African fat tail in something like this. You're not a stupid idiot. You're not dumb. You don't obviously hate animals and blah, blah, blah. No, don't go that route. Steve-O, I don't know if you noticed that, but, you know, fat tails need a bigger enclosure. That thing also is sealed, so it's going to keep an abundance of humidity in there. Whereas a fat tail, they're arid species, and they need a more dry environment. I know some geckos, and these are things to say. Some geckos are like that. They have the humidity, and maybe get rid of that and go into that if that's something you want. And then smaller micro geckos that can fit in that enclosure. But your guy is kind of not going to do well in there. Have you had any problems with it? What did you look up? Check out this video by Wally at Supreme Gecko. Check out this video by Leopard Gecko. You know, all these things that have these. Again, you can help these people. You can help that gecko. Or what you can do is insult that person and kill that gecko. What do you want to do with your words and your time? I suggest taking the time to approach people in positive ways that will help you, help that animal, help the hobby, and help the environment. But that negativity and the flippant, thoughtless act of thinking a pet is a rock that you can just put and enjoy it, it's not. So please, ask those hard questions. Take the time to do that. Say the hard things and have these hard conversations with people, because you could save animal lives. I mean, you could save financial hardship, anxiety. You could save someone from buying a pet snake that may bite them and kill them, that they don't. Again, all of these things that I don't know. There's a myriad of ways you can help people in the hobby, but by keeping your mouth closed, enabling people and harming, or in some points torturing animals for whatever reason, we should not enable it. We don't have to beat people up. Get to know these people and find out. Maybe they really don't know. I know at PetSmart, they want to sell me that animal. They're not going to tell me all of the ins and outs. Maybe you will get an employee who does. Maybe you'll ask the question, but their job is not to inform you of anything. Aside from $54.99 for that snake, $99.99 for the thing we told you to buy to put them in, and then the carpet's $19.99, and that's it. Have at it, boss. That's what their job is, not to inform you. Your job is to inform you. Do it. Take the time, please. I've prattled on long enough. I welcome any feedback, good or positive. Yeah, good or positive comments in below, or negative one, whatever. But I hope everything is going well with you. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. Go easy.